So you can get pregnant in Mafi Dove, but you can't give birth in Mafi Dove. This is rather very strange and surprising because there is a village here in Ghana where giving birth is totally forbidden. Yes, you heard me right. There is a village here in Ghana where childbirth in the village is totally forbidden. The reason being that any woman who gives birth in the village would make the gods of the village very angry. So women are not allowed to give birth in the village. Let me tell you about this particular village. Located in the Volta region of Ghana, Mafi Dove is a very peaceful village with over 4,000 population. You see, the surprising thing here is that every single individual living in that particular community called Mafi Dove were not born over there. All the people in Mafi Dove, none of them were born in the village. It is your hometown, that is where you come from, but you are not born there. Even the chief was not born there. Now, let me tell you about why nobody was born in that village and women are not allowed to give birth in that village. Mafi Dove is so strange and full of contradictions. On one hand, the foundation of this beautiful community is deeply rooted on the religious values of love, kindness, and acceptance. On the other hand, this same community totally forbids childbirth, animal rearing, and then burials. Yes, you see, all these rules, customs, and traditions was set by the founder of Mafi Dove when he founded the community. The name of the founder of Mafi Dove is Togbe Beofia Akete. You see, according to a narration by people living in Mafi Dove, Togbe Beofia Akete, the founder of the village, when he first came to the land several years ago, many years ago, the whole area was very empty, and then he wished to settle on that particular land. However, when he made an attempt to settle on that land, he heard a voice from the sky, and according to them, that was the voice of God. And then the voice of God told him that that particular area was empty because it was protected by the gods of the land, because the land belonged to the gods of the land. So the gods of the land is giving him rules. If he wishes to settle on that particular land, then there are rules he has to follow. If he and his people wish to settle there, they have to follow these rules. Otherwise, the gods will be angry and bad things will happen to them. So the rules were 3 in number and very strict. No childbirth, no animal rearing, no burials. Again, no childbirth, no animal rearing, no burial. These were the 3 rules that they have to abide by if they wish to settle on the land that belongs to the gods. So the question now is, if women in Mafi Dove are not allowed to give birth in the town, does it mean that all the women in the village are not allowed to get pregnant or what? Well, the answer is no. Women in Mafi Dove are allowed to freely menstruate and to freely get pregnant. So if you go to Mafi Dove, you would see a pregnant woman. Women are allowed to be pregnant while still living on the land. But there is a condition. As a pregnant woman living in Mafi Dove, you have to count your days well, such that if you get to realize that your pregnancy is getting towards labor, you are closer to giving birth, then you leave Mafi Dove, go to another town, give birth, and come back. So you can get pregnant in Mafi Dove, but you can't give birth in Mafi Dove. Now the further stated that on conditions where somebody unexpectedly gets into labor while still on the land of Mafi Dove and maybe unexpectedly give birth on the land of Mafi Dove, then the elders of the community has to come together, bring some things together, and then perform a ritual to make sure that they don't encounter calamities, to make sure that they appease the gods of the land and does not make the gods of the land very angry to bring calamity on them. So yes, due to this very weird taboo in Mafi Dove, any woman who is pregnant and then when it is about 2 or 3 months closer to his birth, then the woman is sent away from the community to go to neighboring communities that are Dokbo and Atitokbo, where the woman will stay, give birth, and then return. You stay there, you give birth, and then come back to Mafi Dove with your baby. Another very weird rule, very weird taboo in the community is no rearing of animals. You are not allowed to rear animals in the community. So yes, when you go to Mafi Dove, you will never see a hen, a sheep, a dog, a goat, a cow. you will not see any single animal roaming in the community. And you may ask, so does it mean these people don't eat meat? Well, there is an exception for this rule also. The thing is that though Mafi Dove, people living there are not allowed to rear animals. However, you can bring an animal into the community provided you are going to slaughter the same animal that day. So when you come into the community with a goat, make sure you slaughter the goat that same day. When you come into the community with a cow, make sure you slaughter the cow that same day. Any animal you come into the community with, it means you are coming to slaughter that animal for food. That is the only rule. You slaughter the animal the same day for either food or whatever you are going to use it for. It is not allowed for you to bring an animal outside of the community into the community and then allow that particular animal to be roaming about in Mafi Dove. It is a taboo. When you are caught doing that, it is going to be a serious punishment. Because, and the community people, the elders say that they are keen on preserving their customs and traditions. So these rules we are talking about, they are preserving it. They are not going to change it today. They are not going to change it tomorrow. Now, the third rule is that in Mafi Dove, there is no cemetery, there is no burial ground. Yes, in Mafi Dove, burial is not allowed. So, as a person living in Mafi Dove, when a relative or a loved one dies, the person is immediately taken from Mafi Dove to the neighboring communities such as Dokpo and Atetokpo, where they are buried, and then you people come back. So when you go to Mafi Dove, you don't see people giving birth in Mafi Dove. You don't see animals in Mafi Dove, and you don't see cemetery or burial grounds in Mafi Dove. Now, a few years ago, women came out to challenge one of the rules, which was that they should be allowed to freely give birth in the community without any reproach. However, elders of the community who see themselves as custodians of the customs and traditions of Mafi Dove remain steadfast in their resolve to uphold the customs and traditions of this particular town. So they said no, nobody is allowed to give birth here. You want to give birth, leave the community, give birth, and then come back. Despite all these restrictions or taboos, Mafi Dove is a community that is filled with peace, love, kindness, and unity. Another interesting thing about this community is that though childbirth is forbidden, women are not allowed to give birth in Mafi Dove. A woman who decides to stay in Mafi Dove and then give birth is not punished. The elders don't punish such women. But the thing is, nobody ever dare break the rules. And the reason being that the elders have told everybody that if you dare break the rule of no childbirth in the community, you are going to give birth to a child with deformities. Let's say a child with one arm, one leg, like deformity. The child is going to be deformed. You are going to give birth to a deformed baby if you break the rule, unless the labor came unexpectedly. If you intentionally remain there and give birth, the child will be deformed. So for this reason, the women believe it and nobody dare break the rule. However, the women remain optimistic that one day the rules will be changed. So if you are in Ghana, you should one day go to Mafi Dove, visit this particular amazing community and experience it for yourself. So please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Redwan ADS. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the video, leave a comment, and then make sure that you turn on the notification bell because more of videos such as this will be dropping. Next, we'll be talking about the weird rules in North Korea. We all know that country. So we'll be talking about North Korea and several other countries and what happens around. Thank you very much.